The year is 1884. The place is Littleton, a small and bustling harbour town. Elsie is waiting for the fish to bite. She has her reasons for coming down to the waterfront so often, the main one being the memory of the lost boys. She was one of the last to see them alive, and now she is haunted by what has happened to them. When the opportunity comes for Elsie to follow in their footsteps over the bridle path and put their ghosts to rest, she doesn't hesitate. "I'll be careful," she says, but no one knows that the weather is about to change for the worse. That's a little extract from the back of my new book called The Ghosts on the Hill, which describes a little bit about the plot of the story. Now I'm just going to read a couple of extracts to you from the book. It's a story based on a real event where two boys who crossed over the bridle path from Littleton to Christchurch City were lost on the hills in bad weather. They died on the hills, and Elsie is about to follow in their footsteps over the bridle path. It's a path she's been too scared to go on ever since the boys disappeared. So she starts off by just thinking about the stories that she's heard about those hills. There are ghosts in the hills. Well, not ghosts exactly, but fairies. Elsie knows that because Papa has told her so more than once. Patu Paiorehe, they're called. They hide in the cloud and rain, which makes them impossible to spot. If you aren't careful, they will catch you by surprise. When the clouds from the southwest settle on the hilltops, then the Patu Paiorehe are there, watching and waiting. Their skin is white, the colour of the clouds on a fine day, and they are able to get up close to you, very close, before you realise that the shapes in front and behind and either side of you are not clouds, but fairies in disguise. And Patu Paiorehe are not the kindly or mischievous fairies of storybooks. Rather, they are the opposite, wicked, dangerous. Elsie knows there are fairies in the hills, but does she really believe it? Really believe it? She used to when she was very little. Later on, she started doubting they existed. But after what happened to Davy and Archie, she suspects Papa may have been telling her the truth after all. And in this next section, Elsie has climbed to the top of the bridle path. It's a warm day so far. She's tired and she's sat down and had a rest and fallen asleep. And then she wakes up. Elsie wakes up shivering. How long has she slept? She can only guess that it has been for far too long. In the meantime, the world around her has changed. The sheep have become invisible, their voices muted. Low clouds have descended onto the hilltops, and fog has filled the valley. Elsie can barely see her hand in front of her. She shivers not with cold. Her serge dress and smock are not enough to keep the cold out, but also with real fear. What has she done? What has happened? Is she still at the top of the bridle path where she set down her bundle of clothes and ate her bread and cheese, or has she been transported to another land, the land of the fairies, the Patu Paiorehe? Elsie loses her sense of direction as soon as she stands up and moves about. In no time at all, she no longer knows which way is which. She hopes she is still looking towards Heathcote Valley, but what if she's wrong? She takes a few steps to feel if the ground is sloping down, but if she is still at the summit of the bridle path, then down could be in any direction at all. Elsie remembers the gate. If she could find it, run her hands over its rough and reassuring planks, then she will know where she is. Very carefully she takes a few tentative steps in the direction where she believes the gate to be. She finds nothing. Elsie can hear her papa's voice in her head, telling the old stories, tales of the unpredictable, capricious Patu Paiorehe. tales that thrilled and excited her when she first heard them in the safety of her bed at home, and when she heard them again at her father's whare in Rapaki. But now those stories are seeping into her bones in the same way that the cold, damp cloud is saturating her skin. They no longer make her shiver with delight, but with the overwhelming chill of fear. Elsie forces herself to stand still. She tries to think of the best thing to do. Waiting for the weather to clear, probably, but how can she bear to simply wait here, not knowing what might appear from the all-enveloping cloud? And then Elsie hears something, a sound creeping towards her like the drifts of cloud, muted one moment, then piercing the next, close by, then seemingly far away again. She doesn't want to think about what it might be, yet she can't stop herself from believing it might be the very sound she has been fearful of hearing ever since she woke up in this new, strange world. The sound of the putorino. She knows that the fairies play those flutes. They are coming for her. Why else would she hear the music they make? Elsie has become frozen by fear. She can't move now, even if she wants to. What will the Patu Paerehe do to her? Where will they take her? It's not likely to be to a friendly place, warmed by Tamatea's magic fire. More likely it will be to an even colder place of rock and ice and water. The music of the pipe is really close now. Elsie wraps her arms around herself. The cloud forms into long tentacles that stretch out to embrace her. Vague shapes only, yet surely they are the clutching hands of the Patu Paerehe. Elsie screams, and now she begins to run, no longer thinking or even caring about the hillside dangers that surround her. But there is no escape. The Patu Paerehe have her in their clutches. I hope you enjoyed that little extract from The Ghosts on the Hill. That's published by Cuba Press in Wellington. And if you want to know how that story ends, you might have to get a copy of the book and read it for yourself. But thank you very much for listening, and enjoy the ghost stories. Bye-bye.